These are the 10 must-have apps for your Meta Quest 3, as well as some bonus ones at the end that you don't want to miss. But keep in mind that these applications are not games, but instead they will be able to enhance your experience and let you do things like watching movies, to getting your PC screen in VR, or even upgrade the graphics of your VR headset itself. So let's dive right into it, with the first one being none other than Big Screen. Now this app lets you create your own home theater inside virtual reality, because here you will be put in one of the many nice environments that each have a massive screen to display all your content on it. And this goes from watching movies to shows and much more. But the main drawing point of Big Screen is that besides it being completely free, it also has a lot of social features. And that means that you can invite your friends to hang out and, for example, watch some awesome anime together. However, it is important to keep in mind that while the app itself is free, because of that, some features are still missing or are behind a paywall. For example, there's no such thing as a mixed reality mode, so the entire experience will be set in VR. While on the complete other side, they also have a built-in web browser, but this is a paid function that is pretty damn expensive. And while in one way they need to monetize it somehow, it is kinda sad, since if this would have been included for free, it could have made Big Screen pretty much the best VR app of all time. But that gets us to the second one, which is none other than Virtual Desktop. With the unique thing about this one being that it lets you create your own virtual reality working station, as well as letting you play PC VR games on your Quest 3 headset. Because Virtual Desktop basically unlocks the possibility for you to use your computer screen directly inside VR. And that means that while it has some similarities to the previously mentioned Big Screen, with this one you can take this a whole lot further when it comes to things like productivity. But of course, most people use this app for its function so that they can get access to the entire Steam VR library. And that means you can play games like Half-Life Alyx completely wireless. And while Meta also has something called AirLink that sort of lets you do the same thing, Virtual Desktop instead gives you a lot more options and settings to tweak with. So with it, you can actually get the most out of your PC VR experience, with the only downside being that this app is sadly not free. But if you are on a budget, then we also have some alternatives that can almost give you the exact same thing, but then without spending a single cent. For example, if you want to have the productivity aspect of Virtual Desktop, then an alternative for this would be the app called Immersed, because this one will let you spawn up to 5 virtual screens and use it in either virtual or mixed reality. But it also has some other cool stuff, like being able to work with other people in the same room, as well as have virtual calls or even multi-screen sharing, making this a great application for those who want to work together or for the users want to replace their PC with a full-on virtual reality setup. But if instead of the productivity side of things, you want to play those PC VR games for free wirelessly, then a great option would be to download the official Steam link. Because just like the previously mentioned Virtual Desktop, this lets you connect your headset wirelessly to your computer so that you can get access to the whole Steam VR library. And while this can unlock some awesome titles that just aren't available on the Meta Quest store, you do have to keep in mind that you will still need a pretty buff gaming PC if you want to run these games on their higher graphic settings. And of course, while this is once again completely free, don't forget that this one does limit you to only the Steam VR games. So if you want to play some specific titles that aren't in here, then Virtual Desktop is probably still your best bet. But that gets us to the next must-have app, which is known as the Quest Game Optimizer. Because unlike anything else, this unique application can upgrade the graphics of all your games and experiences on your Meta Quest 3. But to set it up though, it is slightly more complicated, since you won't directly find it on the Quest store, but instead you will have to head over to itch.io. And once you have finally installed everything correctly, you will see the so-called HD Plus logo next to some of your VR games and experiences. And that means that these titles have specific presets with optimized settings that are all tailored to each individual application. And while you will most likely see that all the popular titles will already have the HD Plus logo next to it, there might be still some left that you have to set up yourself. And overall, this can be an absolute game changer for most users. But that gets us to another must-have app for your Quest 3, and that one is known as Painting VR. Because this one will give you a near-perfect simulation of your own painting studio inside virtual reality. However, compared to a lot of different experiences out there, Painting VR sometimes looks so realistic that it is difficult to believe that it isn't actually real. And that goes from the graphics to the colors, but mostly the interactions of your brush with the canvas itself. But if you want to take your creativity even further, then there is also something called Gravity Sketch. Because unlike painting VR, this one lets you create things in full 3D. And that means it is only limited by your own imagination. Because here, you can create detailed models of your next and upcoming products to absolutely whatever you want. And while it might not be the newest app on this list, this one is also completely free, making it perfect for those who want to try out to create their first 3D sculptures or just mess around in general. And since you can also upload or download your creations with it, you can even share your next big idea with others. And while we are still on the topic of some awesome immersive experiences, and before we go to the next 3 must-have apps that you don't want to miss, let's have a quick word from the company that made this video possible. Because none other than Cat VR, who are known to create VR treadmills that look like they come straight out of Ready Player One, are taking VR once again to the next level. Because while we normally are limited by the space and boundary system inside our virtual reality experiences, it is Cat VR that has been creating VR treadmills that let you run, crouch, and jump without any limitation. And since their most recent version, that is known as the C2 Core, is compatible with nearly every headset, it is often also considered as the dream upgrade for any VR setup. And they even go so far that for those hardcore fans, they also have high-end models that include things like haptic feedback or a vehicle hub, making it feel even more realistic, like riding on a horse inside VR. And as a cherry on top, you can also use the code VRelity for a $130 discount on your entire purchase. So for those who are interested, I'll leave a link in the description below. But that gets us to number 8, which is SideQuest, because this is probably the number 1 must-have application for your VR headset, since with it, you can get access to a massive library of titles and experiences that just aren't available in the official Quest store, and most of these don't cost anything. But on top of that, besides just games and experiences, you can also find a lot of other cool things on SideQuest. For example, you can get some new home environments here for your starting screen that you can simply browse through and download directly onto your headset. However, to get this up and running properly, you will need to unlock the so-called developer mode first, as well as follow the steps and instructions carefully that you can find on their official SideQuest website. So make sure to take your time for that. But another must-have that you might already be using is of course YouTube VR. Now while it is of course possible to just view YouTube from within your browser, the free YouTube VR app comes with a bunch of extra benefits. Think about things like hosting your own watch party so that you can view your favorite content with your friends, or the full support for 360 videos if that is something you are looking for, making this of course a must-have on day one. And that same can be said for the Xbox Cloud Gaming app, because with this, you can stream hundreds of high-quality titles like Halo Infinite on a massive 2D virtual display. And while you will of course need the Xbox Game Pass for this to work, it still is a great way for you to get these games on your VR headset. But we also have 2 bonus apps that we definitely need to mention, with the first one being FitXR, since with this, you can start to burn some big calories with real certified coaches, but then from the comfort of your own home. And with its huge selection of workouts that go from boxing to strength and even Zumba, you can be sure to find something for you in here. And the second bonus app is known as World, because this cool experience lets you discover the entire catalog of Google Earth in 3D. And that means that you can visit nearly any place on our planet and view them as if you were really there. But also, thanks to the loads of different options and modes that have been added to it over time, you can really start to explore the entire world with just your headset. But that's not all, because there are also a lot more must-have VR experiences for your Quest 3. So click on the video that you see on screen right now to make sure you don't miss out. And of course, stay awesome.